The last stand of Nova Prime. The emergency klaxons of Nova Prime Research Station wailed through blood-red emergency lighting as Commander Elena Torres sprinted through the smoke-filled corridor. Her powered armor's joints whirred with each movement, the helmet's heads-up display painting targets through the chaos. Behind her, the station's outer hull groaned under the assault of the Nexus fleet's energy weapons. Status report, she barked into her comm as she vaulted over a collapsed support beam. The station's artificial gravity fluctuated, making every step a calculated risk. Not good, Commander, Lieutenant Park's voice crackled back. We've lost contact with sectors 7 through 12. The evacuation is only at 60%. And... He hesitated, we're detecting Nexus boarding parties. Elena cursed under her breath. The Nexus weren't supposed to be here, not in this sector, not for another week according to Alliance intelligence. She'd learned long ago that supposed to meant nothing in war. Hold the line at Junction B. I'm heading to the Quantum Labs. Torres out. The Quantum Labs housed Nova Prime's most sensitive research, and its most valuable personnel. Dr. Marcus Blackwood had been leading a classified project there for the past 3 years. Elena had never met him, but his reputation preceded him, brilliant, stubborn, and notoriously difficult to work with. Now she had to save him, whether he liked it or not. The station shuddered again as Elena reached the lab's sealed doors. Her armor's enhanced strength made short work of the emergency locks. Inside, amidst the chaos of overturned equipment and flickering holographic displays, a lone figure stood calmly at a central console. Dr. Blackwood, we need to move. Now. Elena's voice echoed through the lab. The man didn't turn around. Almost done, Commander. The data transfer cannot be rushed. His voice was surprisingly steady, almost detached from the emergency around them. The station is falling apart. We don't have time for 3 minutes. He cut her off, fingers flying over the console. Either we save this data, or humanity loses its best chance at survival. Your choice. Elena wanted to argue, but something in his tone made her pause. Instead, she secured the entrance, her weapon ready. 3 minutes. Then we leave, data or no data. Those 3 minutes felt like an eternity. Through her comm, Elena heard the reports of Nexus forces advancing through the station. The alien invaders had appeared 6 months ago, their massive ships emerging from previously unknown spatial rifts. They hadn't attempted communication, hadn't made demands. They simply attacked, systematically destroying human colonies and military installations. Done. Blackwood's voice snapped Elena back to the present. He pulled a small quantum drive from the console and tucked it into his jacket. Let's go. They were halfway to the door when the lab's far wall exploded inward. Through the breach stepped 3 Nexus warriors, their crystalline armor catching the emergency lights like faceted blood. Elena shoved Blackwood behind a fallen table and opened fire. Her armor's enhanced ammunition crackled with electromagnetic energy designed to disrupt the Nexus's crystalline tech. The first warrior stumbled, its armor crackling with feedback, but the other 2 advanced. Their weapon arms transformed, organic crystals reshaping into deadly configurations. Stay down. Elena commanded as she rolled to new cover. A blast of energy turned her previous position into molten slag. The Nexus weren't just technologically advanced, they had seemingly mastered the merger of organic and crystalline systems in ways human science couldn't comprehend. Elena triggered her armor's backup systems, flooding her muscles with combat enhancers. The world slowed down as her enhanced reflexes kicked in. She broke cover, firing precise bursts while closing the distance. The fallen Nexus warrior was rising, but a quick burst to its core crystal structure put it down permanently. The remaining 2 split up, trying to flank her. Elena launched a micro-EMP from her armor's shoulder mount, catching one in the blast radius. As it staggered, she charged, her armor's strength letting her slam into the alien with enough force to shatter its crystalline plating. The last warrior fired, catching Elena's left arm. Pain flared as the energy blast overwhelmed her armor's shields, scorching the plating. She spun, dropped to one knee, and emptied her magazine into the Nexus's chest. The alien fell, its crystal core dimming to darkness. "We need to move," Elena grunted, fighting through the pain. "More will come." Blackwood emerged from cover, his eyes fixed on the fallen aliens. "Fascinating. Their crystal matrices are even more complex than our scans suggested. If we could just dash. Doctor. Move. Now." They ran through the station's deteriorating corridors, Elena's armor sensors tracking multiple Nexus signatures converging on their position. They were 2 sections away from the evacuation point when they hit trouble. A dozen station security personnel were pinned down at an intersection, exchanging fire with an unseen enemy. Captain Rodriguez spotted them first. "Commander. We're cut off from the evac point. They've taken Junction C." Elena quickly assessed the situation. The main route was compromised, but she knew these stations inside and out. "There's a maintenance shaft that runs parallel to Junction C. We can bypass their position. It's sealed for decompression," Rodriguez countered. "My armor can handle vacuum. I'll carry the doctor. The rest of you provide covering fire, then fall back to auxiliary evac point 2. We'll rendezvous at the rally point." Rodriguez nodded, but Blackwood grabbed Elena's arm. "Commander, what I'm carrying, it can't fall into their hands. If we're cornered dash. We won't be," Elena cut him off. "But if it comes to that, I'll make sure it's destroyed. Along with anything they could salvage from the wreckage." The meaning was clear. Blackwood nodded grimly. The next few minutes were a blur of gunfire, vacuum exposure, and desperate running. Elena's armor systems warned of multiple breaches, power reserves dropping. But they made it. The last evacuation ship was waiting, its engines hot. As they lifted off, Elena watched Nova Prime Station recede through the viewport. The massive research facility, humanity's proudest achievement in this sector, was being torn apart by Nexus weapons fire. "It had to be destroyed anyway," Blackwood said quietly beside her. "Too many secrets. Too many risks if they captured it intact." Elena turned to study him. "What exactly were you working on, Doctor?" He clutched the quantum drive tighter. "The key to understanding them. And maybe, the key to stopping them." His eyes met hers. "Commander, what I'm about to tell you will sound impossible. But I need you to listen, because humanity's survival depends on it." As the evacuation ship jumped to faster-than-light speed, Elena listened. And with each word, she realized that everything she thought she knew about the war, about the Nexus, about humanity's place in the galaxy, it was all about to change. The real fight was just beginning. Echoes of truth. The Alliance flagship Hyperion hummed with barely contained tension. Elena stood at the observation deck, her bandaged arm a reminder of the battle at Nova Prime. The massive vessel's windows offered a view of the assembled fleet, humanity's last line of defense. But her mind was on the information Blackwood had shared during their escape. "It's not what we thought, Commander," he had told her, his words still echoing in her thoughts. "The Nexus aren't invaders. They're returning. And humanity, we're not who we think we are." The door hissed open behind her. Admiral Victoria Shaw entered, her silver hair and sharp features reflected in the reinforced glass. "Commander Torres. I trust you're recovering well." "Yes, Admiral." Elena turned, studying her superior officer carefully. After Blackwood's revelations, she wasn't sure who to trust. "Though I'm more concerned about our next move against the Nexus." Shaw's expression remained neutral. "Dr. Blackwood's data is being analyzed by our best teams. Until we understand what we're dealing with, we maintain our defensive positions." And the civilian evacuations? Proceeding as planned. Shaw paused, her eyes narrowing slightly. You spent time with Blackwood during the evacuation. Did he share anything unusual with you? Elena kept her face carefully blank. Only complaints about leaving his research behind, Admiral. Shaw nodded, but Elena caught the slight tension in her shoulders. Of course. Carry on, Commander. After the Admiral left, Elena made her way to the secure science wing where Blackwood had been given a temporary lab. She found him surrounded by holographic displays, his features illuminated by streams of data. They're watching us, Elena said without preamble. Blackwood didn't look up. Of course they are. The question is, do they know what we know? Show me again, Elena demanded, securing the door behind her. Blackwood gestured, and the holographics shifted. Ancient symbols appeared, alongside genetic sequences and star charts. The Nexus artifacts we discovered weren't just technology, they were keys. Keys to understanding our own DNA. The displays showed human genetic sequences next to crystalline patterns found in Nexus technology. The similarities were impossible to ignore. We didn't evolve naturally on Earth, Blackwood continued. We were engineered. The Nexus created us, or rather, their ancestors did. We're their legacy, their backup plan. But why? And why return now? Because something went wrong. Blackwood brought up new data, astronomical readings, spatial anomalies. The Nexus aren't just fighting us. They're running from something. Something that destroyed their civilization once before, something that's returning. They need us to remember, to awaken what's dormant inside us. A sudden alert blared through the ship. Elena's calm crackled. Commander Torres to the bridge immediately. They shared a look. They found something, Blackwood said quietly. The bridge was chaos when Elena arrived. Tactical displays showed multiple spatial rifts opening, but these weren't Nexus ships emerging. Unknown contacts, the sensor officer reported. Configuration doesn't match any known Nexus designs. They're organic, somehow. Admiral Shaw stood rigid at the command station. Battle stations. All ships formed defensive positions. The new arrivals were unlike anything Elena had seen. Where Nexus ships were crystalline and geometric, these were curved, almost tentacular. They moved like living things through space. They're targeting the civilian evacuation ships, someone shouted. Shaw turned to Elena. Commander, take a strike team and protect those evacuees. We'll hold them here. As Elena rushed to the hangar bay, her mind raced. These new enemies, were they what the Nexus were running from? What humanity had been engineered to face? Her strike team was already prepping their fighters when she arrived. The new Valkyrie-class ships were humanity's best weapons, incorporating salvaged Nexus technology. As she climbed into the cockpit, Elena's neural interface connected with the ship's systems. Strike Team Delta, launch pattern Alpha, she commanded. Protect those civilian ships at all costs. They burst from the Hyperion's hangar into chaos. The organic ships were fast, their weapons consisting of some kind of biological plasma that ate through shields like acid. Elena's enhanced reflexes, combined with her ship's neural interface, let her dance through the battlefield. Watch their attack patterns, she called to her team. They move like predators, not machines. Predict, don't react. A civilian transport was under attack, its engines crippled. Elena drove her fighter straight at the organic ship, her weapons finding weak points in its biological armor. The creature, ship, whatever it was, recoiled in pain. They're sensitive to electromagnetic pulses, she realized. Delta Team, switch to EMP loadouts. The battle shifted in their favor. The organic ships weren't prepared for this adaptation, this strategy. As they retreated, Elena couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning. Back on the Hyperion, Elena found Blackwood waiting in her quarters. "You saw them," he said. It wasn't a question. "The Devourers," she replied, remembering the ancient name from his data. "That's what the Nexus called them. The Great Enemy. The reason we were created." Blackwood's eyes were haunted. "But there's more. During the battle, I managed to access restricted files in the Alliance database." "Shaw knows, Elena. The Alliance leadership has known about our true nature for years." Elena sank into a chair, her combat adrenaline fading. "Why keep it secret? Power. Control. The same reasons humans have always hidden truth." Blackwood activated a small device, creating a privacy field around them. "But there's something else. The Nova Prime research wasn't just about understanding the Nexus. We were working on awakening humanity's dormant abilities, the gifts our creators left within our DNA. And we succeeded. The data I carried out, it's not just information. It's a key. A way to unlock what's hidden inside us. Inside you." Elena stared at her hands, remembering how natural it felt interfacing with the fighter's neural systems. "That's why they're watching us. They're afraid. They should be." Blackwood's voice was grim. "Because once this gets out, once people learn the truth and start awakening, everything changes." A message flashed on Elena's comm, Admiral Shaw requesting her presence in the Strategic Command Center. "Another battle, another crisis, another chance for the truth to be buried. We need allies," Elena said, standing. "People we can trust with this." "Be careful," Blackwood warned. "The Devourers aren't the only monsters out there. Sometimes the worst ones look just like us." As Elena headed to command, her mind raced with possibilities. Humanity stood at a crossroads, not just of survival, but of transformation. The question wasn't just whether they could win this war, but what they would become in the process. And somewhere out there, both the Nexus and the Devourers waited, each with their own plans for humanity's future. The truth was out there in the stars, written in their very DNA. They just had to survive long enough to understand it. The Hidden Protocol. The derelict Nexus archive hung in space like a massive crystalline spider web, its translucent structures reflecting starlight in impossible patterns. Elena's stealth shuttle approached cautiously, systems running silent. Beside her, Blackwood worked on decryption algorithms while Lieutenant Maya Reed, a specialist in xenoarchaeology whom they'd recruited to their cause, studied preliminary scans. "No signs of active defense systems," Maya reported, her dark eyes focused on the readings. "But these energy signatures, the archive isn't as dead as it appears." Elena guided the shuttle toward a breach in the outer structure. After the revelation about Alliance leadership's deception, they'd gone rogue, taking only those they could absolutely trust. The archive's location had been buried deep in the Nova Prime data, its coordinates encoded in a way only Nexus-enhanced DNA could interpret. "The Hyperion will notice we're missing soon," Elena said as they docked. "We need to work fast." They suited up in specialized EVA gear designed to interface with Nexus technology. As they entered the archive through the breach, their helmet lights illuminated vast chambers filled with crystalline data structures. "It's beautiful," Maya breathed. "The crystalline matrices, they're not just storage devices. The entire structure is one massive quantum computer." Blackwood nodded. "The Nexus don't distinguish between technology and biology the way we do. To them, it's all part of the same spectrum." They made their way deeper into the archive, following energy signatures that grew stronger with each chamber they passed. Elena's enhanced senses, already heightened by her military modifications, felt increasingly alert. Something about this place resonated with her at a cellular level. There, Blackwood pointed to a central chamber ahead. "That's what we're looking for." The chamber was enormous, its walls lined with pulsing crystal formations that seemed to respond to their presence. At its center stood a single crystalline spire, different from the others. While most of the archive structures were translucent, this one was deep purple, almost black. The protocol spire, Maya said, consulting her instruments. The Nexus mentioned it in their earliest communications, before they started attacking. We never understood what they meant. Elena approached the spire cautiously. As she got closer, the crystal began to pulse in sync with her heartbeat. What exactly are we looking for? Not what, Blackwood replied, setting up his equipment. Who? The archive isn't just a database, it's a preserved consciousness. Someone left a message, meant specifically for us. He connected his devices to the spire's base. The chamber hummed with increasing energy, and suddenly the air filled with holographic projections. They showed stars, galaxies, and something else, massive organic shapes moving between them. A voice spoke, not in sound but directly in their minds. It was ancient, alien, yet somehow familiar. Children of our desperation, it said. If you have found this place, then our worst fears have been realized. The Devourers have returned. The holograms shifted, showing scenes of an ancient war. The Nexus, or rather their ancestors, fighting against the organic horrors they'd encountered in their own time. Losing. We were not strong enough, the voice continued. Our civilization spanned galaxies, but we could not stop them. The Devourers consume not just matter and energy, but consciousness itself. They feed on awareness, on intelligence. The more advanced a species becomes, the more they are drawn to it. That's why they created us, Blackwood whispered. We're their solution. The voice confirmed his words. We could not defeat them through force or technology. So we created you, a new form of life, one that could evolve differently. Your bodies are organic, but your potential is crystalline. Elena's hand moved to her chest, feeling her heartbeat synchronize further with the archive's pulses. The genetic modifications you discovered at Nova Prime were already there, Maya finished. Just dormant. Waiting to be activated. The holographic display showed human DNA strands transforming, crystalline structures forming within organic cells. You were designed to be a bridge between worlds, the voice explained. Between the organic and the crystalline, between chaos and order. The Nexus you fight now are not your enemies, they are your awakeners, sent to trigger your transformation before the Devourers grow too strong. But why attack us? Elena demanded. Why not just tell us the truth? Because humanity wasn't ready, a new voice said from behind them. They spun to find Admiral Shaw standing there, flanked by soldiers in advanced combat suits. Or rather, those in power weren't ready to give up that power. Elena raised her weapon, but Shaw held up her hands. Wait. Please. I'm not here to stop you. I'm here because I finally understand what needs to be done. You knew, Blackwood accused. You knew what we really were. Shaw nodded grimly. Some of us discovered the truth years ago. We thought we could control it. Control the transformation. Keep humanity pure, while using Nexus technology for our own ends. We were wrong. The archive's voice spoke again. Time grows short. The Devourers sense your awakening. They will come not in waves now, but in floods. You must complete your transformation, or all will be lost. How? Elena asked. How do we awaken? The spire pulsed brighter. The key is within you. The Nexus attacks were never meant to destroy, they were meant to trigger dormant protocols in your DNA. Each battle, each exposure to their energy, has been preparing you. But the final step requires acceptance. Unity. Shaw stepped forward. That's why I'm here. The Alliance, we've been divided on this for too long. But after seeing those things, those Devourers, we need to evolve. All of us. The chamber trembled. Maya checked her instruments. Multiple spatial rifts opening nearby. Something massive is coming through. Elena looked at Shaw, then at Blackwood and Maya. The weight of centuries, of an entire species' destiny, pressed down on them in that moment. The Devourers aren't just coming, the Archive's voice said. They're here. Your time of choice has arrived. Through the Archive's crystalline walls, they could see space itself tearing open. The organic ships they'd fought before were nothing compared to what emerged, vast living structures that defied comprehension, hunger made manifest. Elena felt the crystalline potential in her DNA resonate with the Archive, with the truth of what humanity was meant to become. They weren't just fighting for survival now. They were fighting for transformation, for the next step in human evolution. How do we begin? She asked. The spire's light engulfed them all, and the true awakening began. Breaking chains. The Hyperion's command center had become a crucible of transformation. Elena watched as crystalline patterns spread beneath the skin of the volunteers, their bodies adapting to the awakening protocol. After their return from the Archive, resistance to the truth had crumbled in the face of the Devourer threat. But not everyone was ready to evolve. They're calling it an invasion of the body snatchers, Maya reported, reviewing communications from Earth and the colonies. Religious groups are claiming it's the end of humanity. Military hardliners are trying to quarantine anyone showing signs of transformation. Elena studied her own reflection in a darkened screen. Crystalline lattices shimmered beneath her skin, more pronounced now than ever. The changes weren't just physical, her consciousness had expanded, allowing her to interface with technology in ways that felt increasingly natural. Fear is a natural response, Admiral Shaw said, her own transformation more advanced due to her earlier exposure. But we don't have time for a gradual acceptance. The Devourers are coming. Blackwood burst into the command center, his usual composure shattered. We have a problem. Someone transmitted data about the transformation process to Earth's Defense Council. They're voting to launch a preemptive strike against all transformed individuals. Who? Elena demanded. Vice Admiral Reynolds, Shaw growled. He never accepted the need for change. He's convinced Earth's leadership that we're becoming hostile aliens. The room's screens lit up with emergency broadcasts. Earth's defense platforms were powering up, targeting not just transformed individuals but any ships or colonies showing signs of crystalline integration. They'll start a civil war, Maya whispered. Right when we need to be united. Elena felt something through her enhanced senses, a ripple in space-time. The Devourers aren't waiting for us to sort out our differences. Multiple rifts are opening throughout the system. She brought up the tactical display, showing massive organic shapes emerging near Mars, Jupiter's moons, and the outer system colonies. The Devourer fleet made their previous encounters look like scouting parties. We need to move now, Elena decided. Maya, get me a channel to all transformed individuals in the fleet. Blackwood, start broadcasting the awakening protocols on all frequencies. If people want to survive what's coming, they need the choice to evolve. Admiral, can you get us a link to the Earth Defense Council? They've blocked official channels, but I know a few back doors, Shaw replied, her fingers dancing over crystalline enhanced controls. Elena addressed the transformed first. To all those who have embraced the change, we are not losing our humanity, we are fulfilling its purpose. The Devourers are here not just to destroy us, but to consume what we might become. We cannot fight them as we are, but we can fight them as what we were meant to be. She turned to the public channels. To those who fear us, look at what's coming. The Devourers aren't here for resources or territory. They're here to feed on consciousness itself. We offer you a choice, evolution or extinction. The Earth Defense Council appeared on screen, led by Vice Admiral Reynolds. His face was a mask of disgust. You're asking us to surrender our humanity to alien influence. We would rather die as humans than live as monsters. Then you doom not just yourself, but everyone who might have chosen differently, Elena countered. She sensed the devourers moving closer, their vast organic forms distorting space itself. Look at your sensors. Look at what's coming. Your weapons cannot stop them. Watch us try, Reynolds snarled. The defense platforms opened fire on the nearest devourer ship. Energy weapons and nuclear warheads splashed harmlessly against its biological shields. The devourer's response was immediate and devastating. Organic tendrils larger than cities reached out, wrapping around defense stations. Elena and the other transformed felt the psychic screams as the creatures began feeding, draining not just life but consciousness itself from their victims. My God, Reynolds whispered, his arrogance cracking. It's not too late, Elena pressed. The transformation process takes time, but the initial changes will at least give you a fighting chance. Choose now. The council chamber erupted in chaos as the first devourer ships entered Earth orbit. Reynolds himself stared in horror as organic matter began seeping through his station's hull. How? He asked simply. Elena nodded to Blackwood, who began transmitting the awakening protocols. Accept the change. Let your body remember what it was designed to be. Across the solar system, humanity faced its moment of choice. Many, seeing the devourers firsthand, embraced transformation. Others fought it, clinging to a conception of humanity that had never been completely true. The transformed fleet engaged the devourers, their crystalline-enhanced ships moving with impossible grace. Elena led the defense, her consciousness linked with both her crew and her vessel. They were no longer simply pilots and ships, they were becoming something new, something that could match the devourer's ability to manipulate space and energy. But the enemy was vast, ancient, and hungry. For every devourer they destroyed, two more emerged from spatial rifts. Earth's orbital defenses were crumbling, and the transformed fleet was being pushed back. We're not strong enough, Maya reported, monitoring the battle through her enhanced senses. Even transformed, we're fighting them individually. The archive showed their ancestors failing the same way. Elena remembered the archive's messages about unity, about bridging worlds. An idea formed, dangerous, maybe impossible, but their only hope. We're not supposed to fight them as individuals, she realized. Admiral, get me a link to every transformed ship and colony. Blackwood, I need you to modify the awakening protocols. Maya, help me calculate the resonance frequencies. What are you planning? Shaw asked. Elena's crystalline structures pulsed with purpose. The Nexus built us to be bridges, connecting organic and crystalline, matter and energy, individual and collective. We're not supposed to fight the devourers as many, we're supposed to fight them as one. Understanding dawned in their enhanced minds. The plan was audacious, use the crystalline networks now running through transformed humans to create a unified consciousness, a gestalt powerful enough to match the devourer's cosmic hunger with cosmic will. The strain could burn out everyone connected, Blackwood warned. We're out of options, Elena replied. Humanity evolved through cooperation, through joining together to face greater challenges. This is just the next step. As the devourers closed in on Earth, Elena broadcast one final message, to all who have chosen to transform, open your minds. Remember what we were made to be. Together, we are more than the sum of our parts. The transformation network activated, and consciousness began to flow between all who had accepted the change. The barriers between self and other dissolved, creating something greater than humanity had ever dreamed possible. The real battle for Earth's survival was about to begin. Tomorrow's dawn. The unified consciousness of transformed humanity rose like a new star in the solar system. Elena was everywhere and nowhere, her individual awareness merged with millions of others in a crystalline network of shared thought and purpose. Through their collective senses, they perceived the devourers in their true form, cosmic parasites that had fed on civilizations since the dawn of consciousness in the universe. We see you, the collective thought, their merged voice resonating across space. We know what you are. The devourers recoiled, sensing something they had never encountered before. In all their eons of consumption, no prey species had achieved this level of unity while maintaining their individual essence. The crystalline network didn't erase personality, it enhanced it, creating a harmony of unique voices rather than a monotonous chorus. Through their connection, Elena felt Blackwood's analytical brilliance, Maya's intuitive understanding of alien structures, Shaw's strategic mind, and countless others. Each transformed human added their strength to the whole while remaining distinctly themselves. This was what the Nexus had engineered them to become, a species that could achieve ultimate unity without sacrificing diversity. The Devourers attacked with renewed fury, organic tendrils large enough to wrap around moons lashing out at Earth and its colonies. But now humanity fought back as one. Transformed ships moved in perfect coordination, their crystalline technologies resonating with their pilots' enhanced consciousness. Where before they had been overwhelmed, now they matched the cosmic horrors blow for blow. They're trying to break the network, Maya's consciousness warned as vast psychic attacks battered their unified mind. They've never had to fight prey that could fight back at their level. Elena's awareness spread through the collective. Hold together. This is what we were made for, not just to fight them, but to show them another way. The battle raged across the solar system. On Earth, the remaining untransformed humans watched in awe as crystalline ships danced between devourer tentacles, their movements guided by a consciousness that spanned space itself. Even Vice Admiral Reynolds, who had fought so hard against transformation, could no longer deny the truth. The awakening protocols are still available, Elena's voice echoed through Earth's communication systems. The choice remains yours. The Devourers launched their ultimate attack, a massive psychic assault meant to shatter the unified consciousness. But instead of breaking, humanity's collective mind evolved further. The crystalline networks that linked them pulsed with new understanding. You feed on consciousness, the collective realized, because you don't know how to create it. You consume awareness because you've forgotten how to grow it. Through their unified perception, they saw the Devourer's truth. They were the fragments of an ancient species that had achieved cosmic power but lost their way, becoming parasites instead of creators. Their hunger wasn't just for energy or consciousness, but for the connection they had lost. In that moment of understanding, humanity made a choice that would reshape the galaxy. Instead of just fighting the Devourers, they reached out to them, offering something the cosmic horrors had never experienced: communion without consumption. There is another way, the collective broadcasted. Let us show you. The crystalline network expanded, creating quantum bridges between organic and energy states. The Devourers resisted at first, their ancient hunger driving them to continue their assault. But one by one, they began to connect, to remember what it meant to create rather than simply consume. The transformation spread like ripples through spacetime. The Devourers' organic forms began to crystallize, not as an invasion but as an evolution. The very forces that had threatened to consume humanity were themselves being changed by contact with the unified consciousness. Throughout the solar system, more humans chose transformation, adding their voices to the collective. But Earth itself remained divided, some embracing the new form of existence, others choosing to remain purely human. And in their unity, the transformed respected this choice. We bridge worlds, Elena's consciousness echoed through the collective. That means honoring both where we came from and what we can become. The Nexus ships, which had watched the battle from the edges of the system, now approached. Their crystalline forms resonated with humanity's transformed state. Through the network, Elena and the others finally understood, the Nexus attacks had never been about conquest. They had been preparing humanity for this moment, fulfilling an ancient promise to their creators. As the last Devourers either transformed or retreated, the unified consciousness faced its next challenge: how to move forward. They were neither human nor alien now, but something new, a species that could exist in unity while preserving individuality, that could bridge organic and crystalline, matter and energy, past and future. Elena felt her individual awareness returning to prominence as the immediate need for complete unity passed. But the connection remained, a constant harmony of minds linked by choice rather than necessity. Through it, she sensed Blackwood's satisfaction at the fulfillment of his research, Maya's excitement at the new frontiers of existence they could explore, and Shaw's relief at having chosen the right side of history. "What now?" Maya asked, her voice both physical and mental. The answer came not just from Elena, but from the collective understanding they all shared. Humanity had been created as a bridge between worlds, and that purpose hadn't ended with the Devourer threat. Throughout the galaxy, other species faced similar challenges, caught between organic limitations and cosmic potential. "We show them the way," Elena said, looking out at the star-filled void. "Not through force or fear, but through choice and change. We become the bridge builders our creators meant us to be." The transformed fleet prepared to leave the solar system, but they didn't go alone. Many humans chose to remain unchanged, keeping their traditional form while maintaining contact with their transformed kin. Earth would stand as a symbol of this balance, a world where multiple forms of humanity could coexist and grow together. As their ships entered faster-than-light travel, Elena felt the resonance of countless minds united in purpose. They carried within them not just human potential, but the next step in cosmic evolution, the power to unite without uniformity, to transform without losing what made them unique. The Nexus had created humanity to save existence from the Devourers. But humanity had done more than that, they had shown the universe a new way forward. As they headed for distant stars, Elena knew that their journey wasn't ending. It was just beginning.